They say it's a modern fad, but our story was stolen from us. They say it's not our story, but cisgender people are not the only ones who can translate ancient words. Among the first written words in human history 6,000 years ago, when Inanna, the queen of heaven and earth, sought out her sister, Erish Kigal, in the underworld and died, when neither gods nor mortals would dare the journey, we were there. Enki, the Sumerian god of creation, so disappointed in his creation that no one would save his daughter Inanna, scraped the last mud of creation from under his fingernails and crafted beings that were neither male nor female, and yet both male and female, who alone would have the power to descend the underworld as living beings to give the water of life to Inanna. Inanna and Erish Kigal, two sides of the same, the outer self and the inner self. It was we who listened to the sadness in the heart of the dark queen. It was we who became lovers with the inner self. But those who descend to the underworld do not return so easily. Even in tales as old as recorded time, there lurks the darker side of humanity, a rejection of who we are, and Inanna's heroes were cursed to live among the gutters, sewers, and shadows. Yet when Inanna learned of the curse placed upon her friends, she wept and spoke softly to them. The power of Erish Kigal is great. Even I cannot break her spell, but I may soften the curse upon you. For those who are like you are kin to my sacred women. If you remember me, how you were born up from the light of the stars to save me, and through me the earth from darkness and death, then I shall harbor you and your kind. You shall be my favored children, and I shall make you my priestesses and warriors. I shall grant you the gift of prophecy, the wisdom of the earth and the moon, and all that they govern. And you shall banish illness from my children, even as you have stolen me from the clutches of Erish Kigal. These words that were among the first written words humans wrote give us a hint. No matter who translated them, that we were there. We know from history that not only were there queer people in ancient times, but there were trans people. There were non-binary people. We were her priestesses and warriors. The honor of being a trans priestess of Inanna was so great that the sacred ritual of castration was a celebration. So sacred were we that to have sex with our kind was sex with the goddess herself. Inanna's descent to the underworld would go on to survive in myths like Persephone and Hades, or the great horned god in the Wild Hunt. But Inanna herself would be stripped of her masculine warrior side and called by many names, Ishtar, Aphrodite, and Venus. Her feminine side would survive as the goddess of love. And as Aphrodite, whose birth from the castration of Uranos, perhaps hints at our lost trans sisters who helped in Inanna's rebirth. Those Kalun priestesses of Inanna would survive as the Gale priestesses of Cybele, an Anatolian goddess, who would go on to throughout the Roman Empire as far away as Yorkshire. Yet Cybele's cult was widely looked down upon in the Greco-Roman world, who rejected those castration rituals. But those who committed to those became, but they were even more committed in their calling to become priestesses of the goddess. And in this tale of Inanna and her descent to the underworld and her rebirth, a story as old as the oldest written words, we were there. And the words of Enheduanna, high priestess of the moon in the Sumerian city of Ur, and part of her poem, Passionate Inanna, which she wrote in the 23rd century BCE. To destroy, to create, to tear out, to establish are yours, Inanna. To turn a man into a woman and a woman into a man are yours, Inanna. We've always been here and will always be here. And I want to dedicate this to our fallen sisters, trans women of color. Thank you.